Hey guys, it's D back with another commentary, this time looking at the same game I've analyzed, but now looking at the bot lane where C and I are both bot laning. Just to preface, whatever, this game, our communication was pretty good because we had established the foundations, but it could have been better. There's a lot of things that we didn't consider, like communicating, this pathing, right, and the recovery, right. So this part was already a mistake, but the recovery of this could have been better. Like if I walked up to cover Kale's return, right, so she doesn't take a undue amount of harass. Fortunately, it kind of works out because Nunu can only really auto attack the person, right, outside of his Q cooldown or whatever his snowball is. But going back to the E cooldown, right. If Kale walks up to punish, but her E is on cooldown, then it's not good, because if I walk up to try to punish and an enemy calls the bluff, both of us can take a whole lot of damage, right? Especially if Nunu lands his Q and he knows how to disengage. Jinx outranges me, so she can get an auto and back out before I can even trade back. And our failure was that we didn't use our pushing ability to push the wave back, but it's both good and bad. It's good in the sense that we've decided as a team to commit to holding the wave and freezing the wave here and playing a little more passively. Our wave naturally is going to build back up because it did kind of touch tower turret range, and we will be looking to push this back out. Nunu's just doing Nunu things, and Kale is backing me up, as you can see, and we're backing each other up. Good communication there. Good fundamental basic communication there. And so this is where Kale kind of gets punished, right? Because her E just went down. Jinx knows she can just do some free damage to her, and then, yeah, not a whole lot of explaining required here, right? So another thing that I talked about with C is warding with intent as opposed to just warding, right? So we were paranoid, and that's why we warded the bush there. But you know, and this is good intent but bad execution, because if I had gone up there and they decided to punish me, they could have done that. Luckily, Kale does move forward and back me up, and I do still take a shot from that. But we're punishing them. We're making them pay for not respecting our wave control here. Okay. Fortunately, we do get baited. The ward does spot Iron out, so we let's go ahead and slow this down. So. It's an okay situation. Kale does not exhaust the right person at the right time, so she takes an undue amount of damage, and she flashes late too. Because of that, you know, we end up giving a death to him, but we could have played that a whole lot better. And it would have been great because they committed all these resources: heal, exhaust, flash, and you know, if Kale had exhausted earlier, would have had a huge spike in her survivability. I did heal, and if she had flashed out, it would have flashing out at the right time would have probably resulted in Jinx flashing as well and not being able to secure that kill. Okay, so let's speed this up here. This part was a big oops on my part. Fortunately, nothing really happened here. I should have called MIA because my war had just expired, and it could have potentially been pretty bad for Shyvana, right? She's playing cautiously here and she's warding up, but that was my failure as an ADC or teammate to cover that avenue. Here I am, kind of respecting this duel here, and I should be respecting this bush here too. You can see by my positioning here, I'm not walking up through here. I'm not trying to face check it. And just waiting for Kale to come back into lane, and we sustain through it. So we know that Jinx hasn't backed, so whatever lead she has is counterbalanced by my experience lead. And so for all intents and purposes, technically speaking, we are still in a pretty even lane, and we're ultimately looking for a window to punish them. I do have an extra summoners up. Nunu just doing new things, and they're just establishing wave dominance or control of the lane, and we're respecting it at this point. Again, we should have called MIA here. We don't know where Nunu's going. And so if they make a mistake, our wave is pushing back. We kind of have the advantage building up now, right? So if we see a time to go in, it would be within the next couple seconds or minutes as we are building up this wave advantage, right? We're preventing Jinx from being able to push. Preventing her from being able to do anything. Just kind of punishing her, challenging her for all the CS. And Kayl's doing a good number on her, right? We should be a little wary of this, but fortunately, as you will see, Iron shows up top. I don't know if we were aware of this at the time, but, and I even ward there just to be sure, but if we were looking to make something happen, we have the opportunity to do so right now. They have no summoners, and so I'm just kind of playing it by ear. Fortunately, Kale steps up, and she actually lands a slow on the right person, and so we commit as a team. This is a good thing that we did here. We got a kill here. There's no, and we continue wailing on them, and we just see it all the way through, right? Because I have flash and they didn't have flash, we punish them for this greed, this overstaying, right? And then we shove out the wave here. So real quick, before this happened, before that, we were still even in CS. This is all right in a world where our opponents are better than us. Definitely we would be a lot more behind in minions, and but because Jinx and Nunu weren't able to really push that advantage, right? I actually end up out CSing, and also we've got a greater lead on them now. As a bot lane, we're stronger. Granted, I buy the right items. So let's go and skip through this. I end up building towards a Rage Blade. I don't think that was a great commitment because the BF sword really does help out Jinx a lot, and I just didn't play it well moving on forward here. So I was a little overconfident here. We're not really respecting the presence that the jungler has, and I actually told KO that we didn't need to ward up there because we didn't really plan to push up, right? We were just kind of freezing here, doing our thing. I did not expect Ivan to come gank for us, which he does. A Nunu baits us into a fight, right? Again, a late exhaust from KO is gonna cost us, and that's just one of the main things we messed up here. I'll slow this down. Mistake number 2 is this, right? We overlapped our ults. That's mistake number 2. And I think, does he eventually exhaust? I think. So at this point, he's kind of screwed. I don't see a reason to exhaust anymore. But, yeah. Right? So, that's where a lot of things went wrong there. Get ganked, we get baited, but I mean, our lane is very volatile, so there's a couple good things about this. So she ultimately gets a kill, right? So we'll quickly recap here, okay? All the things we did right are summed up right here, and all the things that we did bad, I would actually throw in mispositioning, right? So we didn't recognize the impact the jungler would have, but look at, I mean, our list is relatively balanced despite having a lot more mess ups. But remember, there's jungle intervention. We're still constantly drawing pressure, right? The way we're playing, we are drawing a lot of pressure to our lanes. And if you were to contrast that with what's going on here, right? A whole lot of things going on wrong here. But there's just a little bit more that we're doing right, and see how our lane changes a lot more. Sure, we ended up losing the lane. We lost the tower after this, but there was intervention involved. There was no intervention involved here, and there was no real intervention involved here, except for, you know, the gank that happened. But, you know, what I was viewing there, it was in terms of rights and wrongs, good and bad. The lanes are lost because of the player, right? Not necessarily the enemy. Really, it's because of the player. And so that's what you can control. If you establish a strong foundation, you know how to play the early game right, you build on that, you are going to have a much easier time winning and climbing in games. Okay? That's the end of this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section. But other than that, rate, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much.